Hello, this is Gabriel with ABU Games, and the shipments keep coming for this most recent BGS shipment for graded cards. So let's go ahead and rip into these and see what we got. All right, looks like mainly we got in a bunch of Legends cards on this shipment. So let's start off with these. Oh my goodness, 1.5 away from pristine. Centering 8.5. Some of these Legends cards, you gotta be kind of somewhat forgiving on the centering because this is one of the hardest sets to get all the cards well centered. There's some cards that are, a lot of cards in this set that they just are, every single copy just about is way off center. There's a few cards like Rabid Wombat and there's a few other ones too that are just totally ridiculously off-centered all the time, and to find one that's actually centered good enough to get graded highly is, I mean, it does. I have done it. I've actually have graded a Rabid Wombat a 9.5, but it's not likely. And there's actually a few other things that are weird about Legends cards. There's I think it's Whirling Dervish, that the edge is always like chewed up, like the way the cutter was placed for that particular card on the sheet. It's just always really messed up on the edge, so it's like impossible to get a high grade on that one too. I guess there must be a few reserve list cards in this shipment too, but it seems like it's almost all Legends. I'm noticing that the corner grades are getting kind of difficult to get 9.5 on this shipment. Or maybe it's hard to say what they're going to decide to be really critical on. And although I'd say corners is one of the most difficult ones with Magic cards to get a high grade on. The thing that's messed up is that the cards come out of the pack kind of sometimes with a slight bend back on the corners, and see, to me that's just coming out of the pack perfect, but BGS doesn't like that. They want them to lay perfectly flat. So I don't know if that's quite, I'm not sure what to think about that, if that's fair to the grading or not, but that's the way they do it, and that's the way we have to look for. Humility. This is the page load error card we had on our webpage for the longest time. Whenever a page would fail to load or something, we would show a picture of that. There's a nice one. Quad 9.5s. It always feels good to get even 9.5s. Yeah, it's a shame on something like this. So now this is an interesting card. So centering, it got an 8.5. Now maybe something's really wrong with the back or something, because nah, I'm not seeing it. It's maybe a little bit off on the back. Maybe it's a little bit down low on the centering, but I don't see 8.5 centering on there. That's frustrating. There's really nothing you can do about that. If the card looks good, look at this. The centering's 10 on this one. Is it really that much different? Maybe a little bit, but not enough. I love cards like this. I love Legends rares. Any rare Legends cards, I like it. If you get a 9.5 on it, it's really cool. See, here we go. Okay, 10 centering, 9.5 edges, and 9.5 surface, and 8.5 on the corners. So can I see what the problem is with this card? I can't see it. I guess maybe this left corner here, I guess right corner, lower right corner is slightly not uniform with the rest. That's pretty nitpicky on their part. Here we go, floral spasm. Dang, oh, this is brutal. This one's really, really hard to get centered. Really hard. And this one got a 9.5 centering, but then an 8.5 on edges. Oh, it's just like how ridiculously difficult it is to find a well-centered card of this one and then lose it on the edge grade. Oh, I see it. There is a ding on the edge here. You can see it right here. That's too bad. Would have been nice to get a 9.5 on that one. That's a nice one. 2 10s. That was really nice. Voodoo doll. It's funny. This was at one point when I was really starting into the game, I had a goal of getting a set of Legends artifacts. How funny is that? And the Voodoo doll was the last card I needed to complete that. I actually ended up ordering it because there's no way, no one had it in my play group. Such a funny card. Never used it. But I completed it. Completed the Legends artifacts set. It's funny, how does something like that come into your mind? You want to get a set of Legends artifacts. Why did I want that at one point? Probably because artifacts were, back in the day, they were just, they were such a premium in any artifact, because you didn't have that many cards, and if you had an artifact, it was awesome because you knew you could play it in any color. So no matter what, you could always play all your artifacts in your deck. That probably had a lot to do with it. Oh, 1.5 away from pristine. Shulkin Brownie. That's kind of funny. When I was running tournaments at the magic shop I was working for a long time ago, we had a tournament. It was a league, and the name of the league was Shulkin Brownie's Madness. Oh man, so many people were like, what does that mean? What is Shulkin Brownie? They had no idea, and they'd look it up and they'd be like, what does this have anything to do with anything? And we just didn't know what to tell them. It didn't mean anything. It's just a funny name for it. Nice run of 9 5s in a row. Reset, that's a card that's been all over the place in price. Up and down. I think it was used in high tide decks for a bit. I don't even know if that's really a thing anymore in Legacy. Here's a card I've always been a big fan of, Master of the Hunt. I just always thought it was a really cool card, making all these wolves. Oh, this is a good one. Now, I believe this is one that's pretty hard to get centered, and to get a 10 on the centering. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm thinking of a different card. Maybe, I can't remember for sure. But that might be a special card. I'll have to look that up. right, here's a card I know is really hard to get centered. So to get an 8-5 centering is not a surprise on this card, although this one was probably one that so it got an 8-5 on the corner. So I probably thought to myself, well, this is a really well-centered card for Brian Hag, which is almost always way off-centered. So even though the corners aren't perfect, I'm going to give it a shot because finding another one that's centered is so difficult. So it's kind of an interesting thing. It's an 8-5, ended up with an 8-5 overall, but I think it is a cool card anyways, just because it's so hard to find a well-centered one. The old Clergy of the Holy Nimbus. I can't remember, there was a point, I can't remember exactly what the deal was with this, if it could like end the game, because if you had no mana and they're like, your opponent played a card that constantly killed it, give like all creatures -1, -1, and it had to constantly like over and over regenerate, you could never finish the game, it would just be a standstill. Something like that. Great Wall. Now, I believe this card is in contention for being the worst card in all of Magic. That it has the least impact of anything. It has the most pointless ability, and it's white. So it's not, you can't pitch it to Force of Will. So it's just a total, like the most worthless Magic card in play. There we go. Quad 9-5. The Wretched. This was always one of the most cool cards ever. Whoa, that was close to pristine. Fallen Angel. Used to love this card in my Living Death deck. Wow, this is crazy. 10 centering on a Brian Hag. That's insane. And the corners couldn't pull out a 9. Ah, that is frustrating. Another nice card. Zephyr Falcon. I do remember back in the day people trying to play that with Stasis. Sarah Angels and Zephyr Falcons and Stasis. I love the art on this card. Visions. This was my wife's favorite card, Amru Kithkin. Oh, that's a nice one. 9-5 Visions. Man, I love the art on these cards so much. I really wish they never would have gotten away from the old school art like this. It's got me frustrated when Unstable just came out. The artwork was so awesome on it. I wish they just would have kept the artwork like that all the time. More leprechauns. What in the world happened with this guy? 8-5 centering, 8-5 corners, 8-5 surface. Yeah, that was not such a great one. Ooh, okay. A 9 on a Bartil Runex. That's not actually so bad. He's really hard to get centered. Yikes, another bad Urdrago. What in the world? Wow, 10 centering on this guy, Via Victus Asmati. He is not easy to get centered. The Elder Dragon Legends, for some reason, aren't centered very well. But a 8-5 on the corners, jeez. That is unfortunate. I don't know if we can see the problem. I'm not seeing it. That is messed up. Chain Lightning. This used to be a really pretty valuable card where they started reprinting it like crazy. Try to go a little fast here to finish all these in a reasonable amount of time. Bloodlust. Bloodlust Berserk. That was the old school combo. Ball Lightning, Bloodlust, Berserk. Game over. Serpent Generator. This one's basically impossible to get 9-5. Always way off centered. So, yep. This is a good example of your average, like really high-end Serpent Generator, and only get the 8-5 because the corners are going to be screwed up because of the cutting. The centering's bad, but then you can do good on edges and surface. These lands, these legendary lands that add the colored mana, those are always really cool because the downside back in the day was really low, especially before Wasteland came out. So there's no good reason not to play them. They don't have like a huge impact on the game, except for Caracas. That one was awesome. But like Urborg and what were the other ones? I can't remember the names of them, but they did like a pretty fringy thing, but they're cool to use. Now I'm hitting a run of 9s. Not exactly what I'm hoping for. I always wonder if the graders get kind of into I don't know what you call it, just like in a bad mood or something, and then you just get a bunch of 9s, or in their good moods and they give you a bunch of 9/5s. Because it does seem like you'll get groups of similar grades. Deadfall. Something about that one. I think that one's hard to get centered too, but I can't remember. Wood Elemental. One of the funniest looking guys. I like that guy so much. He's cool. Oh boy, that one's awesome. So close. So hard to get pristine cards. On the home stretch, only got a few left. So I think this was probably about half the Legends cards that I sent in. I sent in quite a bit. So overall, am I really happy with this grading? I'd say it was okay. There was a lot more 9s in this group than I would be than I was hoping for. But it wasn't a complete disaster either. There was plenty of 9/5s. No 10s. That's a little disappointing. You like to get a few 10s in a shipment this size of Legends cards. Some's really close. Few of them, a lot of them, they're just a 0.5 away. There we go. So, just to reiterate, these are all from our latest shipment to BGS, and what we'll do is we'll have these up for silent auction to give everyone a fair chance at these cards. So once we get everything back and we have a chance to take an image of everything, get everything posted so everyone can see exactly in good detail of what came in, and then will be up. So if you want to get in on that silent auction, go ahead and go to our website and go to abugames.com, and on the right side of the page there's a area where you can sign up for our newsletter and sign up for the vintage and collectibles. I can't remember what it's called exactly, but I know it says vintage and new items, I think is what it is, something like that. And then you'll for sure get the email when the silent auction goes live, so you can get in on this if you're interested in these. So I thank you again for watching, and until next time, see ya.